ATA versions of the British Aircraft Corporation Strikemaster. And here they come in from the right.
So although the basic design of this aircraft was a trainer, as we've mentioned many times today, trained aircraft often pressed into a light combat role. Well, this was pressed almost formally at the development of the Mark V jet provost trainer, which was really the ultimate example of the trainer version of the jet provost. Became the BAC 167 Strikemaster. I think at the time the British Aircraft Corporation thought that their aircraft might have another version in it as a kind of light attack counter-insurgency, and so it proved.
Yeah, a few countries were using jet provosts in different marks as light attack aircraft. BAC had the idea of this bespoke version, aiming to sell it to countries that weren't able to afford to buy or to operate more expensive, complex, bespoke front line types, while also being suitable still as an advanced jet trainer. So they strengthened the airframe, they gave it extra armour protection, fitted an upgraded version of the Rolls-Royce Viper turbojet engine, and crucially 4 underwing weapons hardpoints, which could carry gun packs, bombs, drop tanks, and so forth.
Which we will see demonstrated towards the end of this display.
We will, because this is where we use up the pyrotechnics that were intended for the Army Air Corps roll demonstration. And sadly, for technical reasons, with the Apaches, we're not able to see today. So the Strikemasters will be showing us something of their original in-service roll. The Royal Saudi Air Force became the first customer for this aircraft. It had 47 of them. 146 were built. They were used not just by the Saudis, but by South Yemen, Oman, Kuwait, Botswana, Singapore, Kenya, New Zealand, Ecuador, and Sudan. And a few of those used them in anger in combat. Ecuador did so, South Yemen, but particularly Oman. Very nice little manoeuvre here, coming towards on the 45-degree line, and both doing a roll under in order to turn away. Then the Sultan of Oman's Air Force, now the Royal Air Force of Oman, used its Strikemasters a great deal in a conflict known as the Dhofar Rebellion. Communist-backed rebel forces, known as the Adu in the local language, meaning the enemy, were trying to take over the Dhofar province of Oman from the control of the Sultanate. And in combating those efforts, the Strikemaster proved a very effective weapon. It was a big step up in offensive capability for the Omani air arm, particularly compared with the piston engine Percival Provost it replaced. A jet for this role was crucial in terms of allowing the aircraft to return to a combat zone much more quickly than the piston-engined Provosts, and get that support for ground troops that much more rapidly. Plus, of course, the armament was far more potent. They could carry 32 Sura rockets, or a combination of 16 of those rockets and a pair of 540-pound bombs, as well as the 2 7.62mm machine guns. They also had a rudimentary night attack capability, which later was made possible through using target illuminating flares. And there was the role as the show of force, very important in all sorts of conflicts over the years. A major demoralising effect was had on the enemy forces. Navigation lights on as the 2 Strikemasters run in straight in front of us, and they're coming in for a break.
And indeed the deployment of Strikemasters during the Dhofar Rebellion, that story told so well in Roland White's book Stormfront. Yeah. It really takes you into the cockpit. Indeed, I think 3 Strikemasters were lost during that action at Meerbat, July 1972.
Yes. those light rockets and with the guns for strafing to forces, which included elements of our own Special Air Service, the SAS.
In appalling weather as well. This is not an all-weather aircraft.
Now the two aircraft coming in for an opposition run this time. Quite a lot of British contract pilots flew the Omani Strikemasters and the other types in Omani service for a good many years as well, didn't they?
Indeed.
And it's been on the British Civil Register since 2005. The camouflaged one, an ex-Royal Saudi Air Force aircraft with a fuselage that was supplied to the Saudis as a Mark 80A, but wings from an Omani Mark 82A version. And those wings actually sustained some battle damage during the Battle of Mirbat.
I think if you look to your right-hand side, you'll see the aircraft demonstrating one of its weapon rolls, the 7.62mm strafe. Again, so many things.
Delayed action, heavier weaponry there.
I think they were sympathetic explosions. I think the strafe obviously hit some fuel or ammo dumps and dispatched them appropriately.
Because this is where we're going to shortly unleash the wall of fire. Lining up their run-in on the enemy target. And as they pull up, they've delivered the coup de grace.
That's a lot of firepower from two Strikemasters.
It certainly was. And we ought to note, I think, Andy, that this is the first time we've had these two at Cosford since the death of the team founder, the founder of North Wales Military Aviation Services, operated these two aeroplanes. Mark Petrie, who sadly passed away in April 2024, very much missed on the display circuit. Great contributor, especially to the classic jet scene. And it was not least through his strenuous efforts that it is now possible to buy passenger rides in one of these Strikemasters with jet legends at North Weald. He was very much a visionary, and flying there is a bit of a tribute to Mark.